Hey guys, we are back here with Zach Lowe. We were just talking about our MVP discussion, and unfortunately, because Spreaker sucks, I had to cut it off. So, Zach, go ahead and continue with what you were saying about Kevin Durant and Defensive Player of the Years and stuff.
Oh, I was just saying how impressed I was with Kevin Durant and how he really put his hard hat on in the defensive end, and he's really not known. He really was overlooked for his defensive abilities in Oklahoma City, because he really was a good defender then too. But no one really noticed it because he was putting up 32 a game. But since he's been on the Warriors, he's really had to be that rim protector and be that guy for them. And I think he's really done a great job as a defensive player, and I really respect him for that, for taking pride in his defense.
Yeah, I 100% agree. A lot of people talk about Draymond being able to guard any position. I feel like KD's kind of been able to do that this year as well. Because let's face it, KD has to play center almost. He has to play like 3, 4, and 5 at times. Like, we don't have a center. We have Zaz. I'm not even going to say his name because I hate him so much. Like, I hated Bogut, and I'm not even going to mention it's the guy who's trash, whose last name is it rhymes with Puglia. He sucks. I'd rather see JaVale start, honestly, than Zaza, though, on the real. But you're right. I mean, his defense is something that almost goes unnoticed. He's been averaging 2+ blocks a year, or 2+ blocks a game this year, and it's been phenomenal.
No, yeah, I agree. Really, it's fun to watch.
For sure. So we got Harden, LeBron, and then your third is who did you said Curry, then
yeah.
My third is KD. So okay, cool. So we're almost there on that. So pretty much. All right, so out of that big NBA discussion, we're going to go ahead and get into some football here. So there's a couple of big things that have happened since the Super Bowl that a lot of people have been talking about. Obviously, after how well Nick Foles played in the playoffs, he won the Super Bowl for the Eagles. A lot of people are saying if he gets traded, where he would go. And I have an article up here from CBS Sports, and this is the title, excuse me. Eagles reportedly might demand at least 2 first-round picks in a Nick Foles trade. The Eagles do not win Super Bowl 52, the franchise's first Super Bowl title since its inception, without the services of Nick Foles. It earned him Super Bowl MVP honors, high praise from some celebrities, and now is apparently sent his trade value through the roof. Foles is definitely a trade candidate, but it's hard to imagine the Eagles shipping him out of town for nothing. Not only does he appear happy in Philadelphia, and he knows how much that means after nearly retiring during a rough stint with the Rams, but Philly needs to make sure they have ample insurance for Wentz as their franchise quarterback recovers from serious knee injury. So with all that being said, I wanted to ask you, do you see Nick Foles getting traded? And if so, what teams do you see could possibly where he could go?
I do personally see Nick Foles getting traded, because having a good starting quarterback in the NFL is a dime in a dozen. Like, you can't win a Super Bowl without one. I was a big Nick Foles doubter up until he won the Super Bowl. I did not think that he was going to be able to do what he did, and he did it, and I commend him for it. But I'm not the the Philadelphia Eagles general manager, but if I was, I would be looking to shop him. I would be looking to shop him to teams like Jacksonville, the Cardinals, the Broncos, one of those teams, because I think they would be willing to give up a high price for him, because, like I said, getting a Super Bowl MVP on your team is it's just a big deal. And the Jaguars, I think Blake Bortles is a very average, below average, inaccurate thrower. So I think if they were to, and with that elite defense, if they were to jump on a Nick Foles or a Kirk Cousins, I think that would really be beneficial for them.
That could definitely take them over the edge. And it's really funny you mentioned Kirk Cousins, because that's actually the next thing I was going to mention. So these are possible teams that Kirk Cousins could go to. I was reading through SB Nation. So you have the Broncos first, you have the Jaguars second, Cardinals third, Jets fourth, Browns fifth. So you have those 5 teams, and overall, I think out of those 5 teams, 2 of them are going to get these quarterbacks. And it's a matter of where they go. And personally, if the Jaguars get either Cousins or Foles, I feel like that's what takes them over the edge. Mm-hmm. Honestly. And personally, I do see the Jaguars landing Foles. That's my prediction. And because of that, I already have a prediction for next year, and I have the Jaguars winning the Super Bowl next year. That's my prediction. It's a bold prediction, I know.
With Nick Foles behind center?
Yep.
I like it.
Yeah, that's my prediction already. It's a early one, but I'm putting them there. I think the Niners can make conference championship with they get more offensive weapons in there for sure. But with a defense like Jacksonville, that's unstoppable. Like, I'm sorry. Yeah. That's good enough to beat New England for sure, in my opinion. In terms of where I think Kirk Cousins will go, it's tough. I mean, the thing is, I feel like the Broncos need to give Paxton Lynch more of an opportunity. I know a lot of people don't think he's the answer there. I feel like he needs more time. I really do. I feel like he needs more time there. I don't think the Broncos are going to want to try to go get him. I personally see Kirk Cousins with the Cardinals. I see him going there. Personally, I don't think that changes much. I really don't. They need a lot more there than just that. Obviously, we'll have David Johnson coming back from injury, but in terms of the defensive side of the ball, they really struggled this year. And obviously, that was because they were on the field a lot because of their futile offense. But I don't see much changing with the Cardinals if Cousins goes there, especially in a tough division now with the Niners, with Jimmy, and you never know, the Rams, what they can do after their good season last year. I don't think that changes much. That's my predictions anyways. What do you think?
Well, I don't see him going to the Cardinals changing much either. I do like Bruce Arians as a coach, and I do think the Cardinals are always that team that just finds a way to win games, and you're just like even when they made it to the Super Bowl, you're like, how is this team in the Super Bowl? Like they just really grind it out. But I think like I said, I'll put myself in the shoes of Kirk Cousins. I think he should really look at the Jets because, I mean, the Jets were picked to win 0 games. I think they were the first team ever. They were not favored in any games the whole season, and what were they, 6-10, 7-9?
Yeah.
So they really had a good year, and I mean, you're looking at that, and if they can get that team, I don't even know who their quarterback was half the time, but yeah, I think the Jets. I like the Bills too because Tyrod Taylor carrying that team to a playoff game. I think the AFC is really weak, so I think he should go to the AFC. But one team that I haven't heard, and I don't know why, maybe I'm misinformed on this, but why hasn't anyone said Kirk Cousins going to the Dolphins? I think the Dolphins would be a double-digit win team next year if they had Kirk Cousins. And I haven't heard anything about Kirk Cousins going to the Dolphins. I don't think Ryan Tannehill is the answer for Miami, so I think Kirk Cousins would be a major upgrade. And I think they would. Like I said, I think they'd be a double-digit win team with Kirk Cousins as their quarterback.
Well, one thing I think that's going to be interesting is who is going to take over the AFC East once Brady is gone. And the thing is, I don't see anybody really right now as a leading candidate for that. In terms of the Dolphins, I actually was a team that did come to mind for myself a while ago. However, I just don't know if they're going to stop trusting Tannehill there. I feel like they still have a lot of trust in Tannehill to where they might not want to do that. I think that obviously Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Tannehill in my opinion. I just don't see them doing that knowing that Cousins may cost a decent sum of money. Especially with the contract that Tannehill has there too. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd like to see it. I just don't know if that would happen.
Yeah, that's probably the money doesn't work out. But I do agree with you. Miami is in love with Ryan Tannehill. And personally, I don't see why, but
yeah, me neither.
I mean, that's for Miami to deal with, not me. So
yeah, I don't know about that. How funny, my friend Darren, he's a Miami fan. He just texted, he's like, no to Kirk Cousins. He's like, no, screw that. Yeah, I mean,
my roommate is actually a Dolphins fan, so I hear constantly about the Dolphins 24/7, and I think Jarvis Landry is a very elite wide receiver in this league. And I think Kirk Cousins would help him out. So
yeah, well they definitely need him. Okay, so this is interesting. So hey, I'm glad I actually got some people texting me back on this. He said Josh Allen to Miami. I can't think of who Josh Allen is right now. Do you?
Is Josh Allen is he the quarterback of Miami? Quarterback of Wyoming, or am I thinking of someone else?
Yes, Wyoming. You nailed it. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the thing. They could draft one too. Yeah.
Yeah, draft one and then have him play a year behind Tannehill, and if Tannehill doesn't get it done, kind of boot him out, I guess.
Yeah, that's a possibility for sure. But I mean, it will definitely be interesting to see what happens there. I think I again, my picks: Jaguars, Foles, Cardinals, Cousins, and then it'll be interesting to obviously what happens in the draft. But I think that would drastically improve both of those teams. I don't think Arizona would still win the division, but I think they would definitely get them a few more wins and possibly get them a winning season. That's my thoughts. But anyways, so away from that, so. I'm glad we actually talked about sports for quite a while. I kind of figured we would because I know you were on my show back in high school quite a bit, and we talked quite a lot about that. I remember those days. I was actually watching a couple of our shows for a few days ago, and that was fun times, man. That's the one thing I obviously miss most about high school is being able to run that and have all you guys on and stuff. That was really cool. And that's another thing I was thinking the other day. You were on the show with Ben, right? You were on the first one.
I don't know if I was on with Ben. I was on, I think, 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
I don't know if I was on with Ben.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's a good thing then.
Yeah, I'm glad I wasn't on with Ben.
No, but those were good times, man. Yeah, once again, that was very fun. Okay, cool. So this may not be the best way to introduce the story, but something that obviously isn't fun is some news we've had this week. So we've obviously, if you've seen the news, you know about the Parkland school shooting in Florida and the fact that there was 17 people that died. I'm not even going to get into what happened because I'm sure most of you guys have seen it, and I'm not going to describe anything about the shooter because they've pretty much covered that all on the news. I'm actually going to do something that nobody has done, that I haven't seen anybody do, and that's actually cover who these people were that died. So there were 17 people that died, and we never talk about the victims enough when it comes to these tragedies. So I'm going to spend the rest of this part talking about that, and then maybe we'll go into the next part and we'll discuss our thoughts on the issue and what people have been talking about. So I'll go ahead and get into it. The one that people actually have been talking about is a 37-year-old Aaron Feist. He was the assistant football coach and security guard at the school. Feist died while using his body to shield students from bullets as the gunman opened fire. A literal hero. Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel, a personal friend of Feist, noted that the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School alumni and former football player was a beloved protector of those in the community. Quote, when Aaron Feist dies, when he was killed tragically and inhumanely, he did it protecting others. You can guarantee that. That's who he was. The kids in the community loved him. They adored him. He was one of the greatest people I knew. He was a phenomenal man. That's just so sad. Alyssa Al-Hedef. She was a 14-year-old freshman. Alyssa wanted to become a lawyer as well as a professional soccer player, according to her mother. She was a member of the Parks Soccer Club. Quote, Alyssa was a loved and well-respected member of our club and community. She will be greatly missed. Our thoughts and prayers go out to her family and the other victims of this tragic event. Scott Beigel, 35, geography teacher and cross-country coach. And again, if you guys don't want to listen to this, because I understand this could be pretty saddening for you guys, you don't have to. You can turn it off and turn it back on in about 5-10 minutes if you guys want. But I think this is important to do, which is why I want to do it. So the next one, Scott Beigel, 35, geography teacher and cross-country coach. Beigel was one of the several adults at the school who died while protecting students from streams of gunfire. According to the Sun Centennial, Beigel was shot and killed when he unlocked his classroom door in order to allow students to gain refuge from the gunman, mortally wounded while trying to relock the door. Martin Duque and Guino. Oh, I'm awful at pronouncing that. Sorry. A 14-year-old student. Martin was described as, quote, a very funny kid, outgoing and sometimes really quiet, according to his older brother. According to the Sun Centennial, Miguel also paid tribute to his brother on Instagram, stating, words cannot describe my pain. I love brother Martin. You'll be missed, buddy. I know you're in a better place. God. So that's him. Nicholas Dworet, 17-year-old student. I'll describe him and the rest of them in part 4. I have to end part 3 now, guys, so I will be right back with part 4. We'll get this all of the profiles wrapped up.